In today's NRM Parliamentary Caucus meeting held at State House Entebbe, the NRM Parliamentary Caucus passed two resolutions. Resolution number 1, the caucus resolved to support the UPDF Amendment Bill as presented in Parliament by the Minister of Defense and Veterans Affairs in fulfillment of the Supreme Court ruling on the same and following our earlier resolution on the same. 2, the caucus also resolved to support the private members' bill aimed at amending the Political Parties and Organizations Act to set a condition precedent for all political parties to be members of IPOD as a condition precedent for accessing funding from government. I am done. Yeah. I see now the gadgets are going away. That means there are no questions. We can. So what does clause 1, you see, you need to just, is everybody knowing about clause 1.1? What does it state? You have said yes.
Yes, please. Non people who are not in the forces, who will also be charged under automatic.
According to the NRM caucus, do you think what has been flaunted in the form of aggravated robbery, rustling, capture that definition, don't you think it's relative and it could also be applied carelessly?
Now you are going into... First and foremost, we must agree that the Supreme Court indicated that civilians can be tried in the military court under exceptional circumstances. That must be the key word. Under exceptional circumstances, implying any civilian who voluntarily acquires a firearm, which is a preserve of the armed forces, illegally, without taking advantage of the window in the law for a civilian to acquire a private arm legally, and proceeds to commit an offense, that particular civilian will be culpable for trial under the prescribed exceptional circumstances in the UPDF Amendment Bill if passed into law. I hope I am clear.
What has changed? What
I
because the bill, the UPDF Act, has been stipulating so what is the change now? In that clause?
I think we need to understand this bill. First of all, this bill is not all about exceptional circumstances. The bill is about the welfare of our brothers and sisters, fellow countrymen and women who have joined the UPDF. The issue of pension, the issue of gratuity, the issue of retirement, the issue of those under the reserve force. So the bill is not only about the exceptional circumstances. The bill also will introduce members who qualify to be judges or enroll advocates to be appointed to preside over military court-martials. The bill will also grant a right of appeal from the military court-martial to the civilian courts, among others. The bill will also establish exceptional circumstances where a civilian can be tried in the military court. And I have told you that if Obua voluntarily and illegally acquires a gun, which is a preserve of the armed forces, and he proceeds to commit an offense, those are now two wrongs that we must. That is what will constitute what we call an exceptional circumstance. And those circumstances that would fall under exceptional circumstances are already proposed in the bill that will be handled tomorrow at 10 a.m. So let's cross the bridge when we get there. Just take it from me as the chairperson of caucus that we have agreed to support the bill as presented by the Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs in fulfillment of the Supreme Court ruling. And the Supreme Court ruling was equally clear on issues of exceptional circumstances. I don't want us to move into that, but I have here quotes I can make from the ruling, because I hear there are people who are saying, no, Supreme Court did not mention anything to do with exceptional circumstances. It agreed that civilians can be tried in the military courts or tribunal, but only under exceptional circumstances. And those exceptional circumstances have been proposed in the UPDF amendment bill that will be considered by Parliament tomorrow.
Did you also talk about the...
Oh, you were here. I think I started with those two, that the resolutions were two. Yes.
Thank you so much, Chief Whip. Mine is about committees that have been handling this bill. Agreed that some of the clauses, have you also looked into this? Because there were clauses that members things about counter suits, things about which kind of shoes should be worn or should be gazetted for the UPDF. Have you talked about some of these clauses?
We did not, as caucus, proceed into the details of handling the bill clause by clause, because caucus had already been earlier on agreed. But we have also agreed that in handling the bill as presented, our frontline commander will be the principal legal advisor of government constitutionally, that is the learned Attorney General. So if there are issues, we shall cross the bridge when we get there tomorrow. For now, we have agreed to support the bill as presented.
Okay, let's have Francis. Francis first.
Let's go back to your law player. Rustling.
Because somebody will use...
No, let's agree. Would that be cattle rustling?
No.
Yeah, even people who have not really done basic law, they are saying no. Cattle rustling means there is a civilian who has voluntarily acquired a firearm illegally, and he proceeds to village B and uses the firearm illegally acquired and voluntarily for purposes of, first of all, terrorizing the villagers. Then later on, he or she takes away the what? Yeah, that is what constitutes, in my simple understanding, that is what would amount to a cattle rustling. But if your cows come to my kraal, that may be theft. That is different. It is different from an armed man coming to your village and grabbing your cows forcefully when he or she is armed. So what courts will now interrogate is, first of all, that firearm you have, did you acquire it legally or illegally? If it was illegally acquired, you have voluntarily acquired what is a preserve of the armed forces. So that means you have committed offense number one. But you have proceeded with that particular weapon to go and cause mayhem with intent of grabbing people's cows or cattle. So that is different from the point you're bringing. I have come when I am harmed. You are now the cows. Let us assume you are now the cows. I have come when I am harmed. I terrorize you. I terrorize you raising the question. Then I grab all these cows. It is different from your situation.
Three things in common: stealing with a gun and stealing cattle.
Three things.
How are you
No, 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 no.
in court martial and that of high court.
How you're going to?
To measure the matter that will be judged in high court and the one in court martial.
You seem to now be going into the details. Let's wait and see those proposals that will be considered or the clauses that will be considered one by one. You are now taking me into a fishing expedition because we may discuss, but I have told you, if you are talking about cattle rustling and cattle theft, somebody is now saying 3 in 1. So somebody has committed 3 wrongs, in your humble opinion. Yeah. He has said 3 in 1. Somebody has committed 3 wrongs or 3 illegalities. In your humble opinion, wouldn't that constitute an exceptional circumstance? First of all, I've acquired a gun. No, illegally. Please mark it illegally. Don't now bring me into another. I can see the zone where you're taking me. I am talking about you and me, a civilian who proceeds to acquire a gun illegally. That is the first wrong. Then you proceed to commit an offense with a gun acquired illegally and voluntarily, while knowing that under the law, you can also acquire legally. There's a window created. But for you, you have suspended everything. The exception under the law, off. You get it illegally, you commit an offense. In our opinion, that would be construed to form an exceptional circumstance, because ordinarily a gun is supposed to be held by members of the armed forces. But for you, you have bypassed the window of honing it legally as a civilian. You acquire it illegally, commit an offense. So I think it is clear. Nobody should be telling Ugandans that all civilians will be tried under the UPDF Act. That is wrong. The Supreme Court of Uganda was very, very clear that civilians primarily should be tried in the civilian court. If you are trying a civilian in the military court or tribunal, it should only be under exceptional circumstances, and those exceptional circumstances, as proposed, are contained in the bill that will be debated with effect from tomorrow. First of all, there is no hurry. As you are aware, there was a ruling of the Supreme Court of Uganda. And in that ruling, the Supreme Court also came out with what I would call directives or observations. Those observations or directives contained in the ruling of the Supreme Court requires Parliament to amend the UPDF Act in order for us to conform to the Supreme Court ruling. What Parliament is doing is fulfilling its constitutional obligation under Article 79 of the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda, which primarily mandates Parliament to make laws. So there is no hurry. Even the following day, the process could start, because court had passed a ruling. And in that ruling, Parliament has been directed to make some amendments. So why would you fault Parliament? In Uganda, being efficient is again a problem. When you are too efficient is a problem in our country. I thought Parliament is being effective and efficient in executing its mandate under Article 79, primarily to make laws.
But we also have even other items in that ruling which have not been implemented, like the 18 new members that are still in custody.
It is in the ruling? It is in the ruling? Okay, bring. That one is a process. It is a process. Please, it is a process. Just like what we are going through is also a process. But to you, we are too fast. To you, we are too fast. We should have moved at a very sluggish pace. No. We have not yet passed the law, but now you are saying, why the hurry? All the 2 instances, we are in the process. Isn't it? Yeah.
Let's have the last 3.
Yes.
And then we close. Time is going. Let's have
Kajubi? Parliament shall be convened by the presiding officer under the rules of procedure, and everything will flow as guided by the rules of procedure. These rules were set in place long time ago. We are not putting them tomorrow. Rules of any game cannot be set during. The rules were set before. So I urge members to follow the rules of procedure of Parliament. Yep. No abiding citizen of Uganda must never and ever be worried about this bill. To the contrary, this bill protects the public from civilians who have acquired guns illegally. So to me, there is no worry. Our brothers and sisters are members of the UPDF. The bill is meant to better their welfare primarily. So there is really no cause for alarm, in my humble opinion, unless you are not a law-abiding citizen of Uganda. Yes. And we believe the law we are making is for posterity. The Bible talks about times and seasons for everything. It is our time. It is our season. The laws we make, in our own opinion, are good enough, including this law. That is why I've said, unless you are not a law-abiding citizen. This law is supposed to ensure that issues in relation to illegal acquisition of firearm is either reduced or stopped for those who acquire it illegally and proceed to commit an offense. Must come to an end. That will protect your brother, your sister, your mother, your grandfather, who may be a victim of any Ugandan who has an illegal firearm. Your brother, your sister may be a target. So those are the people that the law will deal with. Not you and me who are law-abiding citizens.
Let's have this, sir, and then
The question to you. No, please, you have now said it. Let me now use your facts to fry you. What are the justifications? Let me take note. Because you have said people, there are 45 million Ugandans. You have said they have rejected. So let me take your...
Yes, please. Like previously, before it was banned, people have been taken to court-martial.
As a procedure, every bill presented and referred to a committee, the committee is given time to consult with stakeholders. If invited stakeholders do not appear, you cannot fault it on the committee. If they are invited or given the latitude to appear and they choose not to appear, they should not fault it on the committee. If they are not invited, they can fault the committee. But the procedure of Parliament is you are given time to consult, and every Ugandan can appear before a committee within that prescribed period of time. If they have chosen not to, then that is not the fault of the committee. But the issue is they were given time. Do you agree? Do you agree? I agree. Absolutely. So, why are you being their spokesperson? They have chosen not to. My mandate is to chair the NRM Parliamentary Caucus, and two, to ensure that members of the NRM attend plenary, and anything beyond that does not fall within my mandate. So my mandate is that I am here reporting to you on the decision of a meeting I chaired and the fact that we are mobilizing our members to come tomorrow and attend to plenary as prescribed under the rules of procedure of Parliament. That is where I stop. Anything beyond that